short drive and then turn around and come back. Then, on my right, in the sky, I saw a bright glowing orange sun and a full moon right next to each other. I was overwhelmed by the beauty and I wanted to take a picture of it. So we kept driving to look for a store to buy film. By now I knew that I had missed too much of the service and it was too late to go. So I thought, oh well, we'll just stay here. As we got to the store, lots of friends were there and they started serving us food, and all of a sudden I realized we were getting married and this was our reception. I flashed back on the ashrama and felt sad about being married and away. Sister Mukta interpreted the sun and moon as Swamiji and Mataji. I interpret the rest as maybe my past life. I wasn't strong enough to hold on to my ideal to become a member of the ashrama, and was persuaded by someone I loved to follow and go with him, live a married life. This dream was 4 years before I did leave the ashram for someone that I had fell in love with, someone I did love, and that dream wasn't a dream about the past life. No. It was foretelling the future. Little did I know. October 3rd, 1976. Last night, I dreamt, among other things, boy, this is interesting. Here we go. Last night, I dreamt, among other things, that I had sexual intercourse with someone who is a part of our extended community right now. He is a householder and is married, but in the dream, it was just he and I. In the dream, I felt it wasn't right, and so I went to Ma and told her. But Mataji looked different. She was much older, grayer, and heftier, and her skin looked much whiter. I didn't even have to explain in detail what I did. Just 1 or 2 words, and I knew she knew. She understood and said, "It would be all right, don't worry about it." But I had this doubt in my mind that I wasn't going to be able to handle it, the guilt, shame, consequences, etc. And she picked it up and said, she picked up my doubt of not being able to handle, the consequences. She picked it up and said, "Okay, I'll take care of it." Then I felt my karma going into her, and then I knew why she looked so old and worn out. That was an amazing dream. Mataji at first said, "Don't worry about it, be all right." And then I said, "No, I can't handle this." And also I remember the feeling in the dream was like, I really enjoyed it, and I don't want to be tempted to go back and have that experience again, and I can't handle this. And basically that's when she sensed that, and she was like, "Oh, okay." And then she absorbed the karmic effects of that experience from me. She took it from me, and I didn't have to bear the consequences, and I didn't have to continue in that pursuit of that experience that wasn't going to serve my highest good. So she took that karma, and then I saw this old, worn, the effects of her taking my karma, what it had on her physical being. And this was just in the dream. In reality, during this time. She was beautiful. She just had a little tinge of gray in her hair. She had beautiful long black hair still, you know, kind of like a salt and pepper, mostly dark, with some beautiful gray streaks in her hair. And her skin tone was beautiful golden brown. And anyways, that was a very, very telling dream. But I felt very blessed when I woke up. I was like, whew, thank you. You know, I felt like this is a blessing to work this out in the dream level and not on this conscious waking level, whatever we call this. Because if I had had an affair with a married man while at the ashram, oh boy, what a mess. That would have just, there's no good that can come from that. There's nothing that, you know, it's just pain and suffering, and it's dragged out for probably years. And I thought, no. You know, I worked it out in a dream with Mataji, and that was such a blessing. And, yeah, be done with it. Move on. So, now, the reading continues, and Ma is leaving for India tonight. This is what I write. That's not a dream. She is leaving for India tonight, October 29th, 1976. Last night, I had a dream that I and 2 others were going to walk down the path. But since it was snowing outside and I only had 1 shoe on, I sent the little one to go get my other shoe. But I ended up hopping through the snow on 1 foot to get my other shoe. Then we walked down and saw horse tracks. Then below us, further down the path, I saw Mataji walking so peacefully, and a horse was walking towards her. I watched how she pet the horse so tenderly and gracefully. Then I felt a tinge of fear because I knew that soon I too would meet up with this horse. And I have a touch of fear in me still. 2 nights ago, I dreamt that my mom and sisters moved into a house which was vacated by some other people. They also left behind 2 little babies. At first I thought they were dead, but they came alive when we gave them attention. They were quite big and got bigger as time went on. November 6th, 76. I dreamt of Mataji and an ashram. A few of us were sitting in the living room, and Ma was there, dressed in orange. Her eyes were just glowing. Borda and also Shiraduni were dressed in orange saris. Sister Devika and I were there too. Ma was telling us all about who she is. Every once in a while, she'd look over at Devika and I and say to the others, are they understanding what I'm telling you, you know? Do I have to explain clearer? Should I continue on while they are present in this room? So Mataji is saying this to the older ones, Sister Borda and Sister Shiraduni, who are sannyasins. I knew what she was saying, but I didn't quite understand clearly. Then Joan Baez walked into the room with a few following behind. She appeared very, very tall but slim. Mataji was so overwhelmed in seeing her that she fell to her feet, Joan Baez's feet. Now this is interesting because in the dream, I'm calling this tall, slender being Joan Baez. But it's funny how my consciousness had to attach a name to this being. But here we go. Mataji fell to her feet to pay respects. When she rose up, she was licking her lips and teeth frantically, like this. JB, which is Joan Baez, then turned and walked on hot coals of fire, which was right next to them. She did it as an act of humility because Ma had touched her feet.